Most people overestimate what they can do in a week, but they underestimate what they can do in a year. A year is long enough to build discipline, to change philosophy, to stack habits that create wealth, health, and freedom. Life doesn't change by chance, it changes by choice. And the truth is, a single year, just 12 months, can completely alter the direction of your destiny if you decide to live it with intention. Think of it this way. A year is 365 chances to redesign your future. Each day is a brick. Laid carelessly, it builds regret. Laid deliberately, it builds a palace of success. The question is, will you drift through another year or will you design one? So tonight, I want to hand you a blueprint, a one-year success plan. Not theory, not luck, but deliberate steps that will turn your time into treasure and your days into destiny. And it begins the moment you decide to stop waiting for someday and start today. Everything begins with philosophy. Philosophy is simply the set of ideas you choose to live by, the invisible hand that guides every choice you make about time, money, and effort. Some people never stop to ask, what is my philosophy about wealth? And because of that, money ends up becoming their master instead of their servant. You see, money is neutral. It doesn't care who holds it. It only obeys the one who understands it. If you don't give it direction, it will slip quietly into the hands of someone who does. So the first step in your one-year plan is to decide, will you master money or will it master you? I remember when I was broke, working hard, but still ending up with nothing at the end of the month. My problem wasn't effort, it was philosophy. I thought money was something to spend, something to enjoy in the moment, not something to put to work for me. That mindset kept me small, kept me a servant to wages. The day I shifted my philosophy was the day my financial life began to change. I wrote down what I wanted 10 years from now. My income, my assets, the lifestyle I dreamed of, and then I chose one rule that I would never break. For me, it was that a percentage of every dollar I touched would go to work for me instead of being consumed. That one idea became the cornerstone of my freedom. So tonight, write out your 10-year vision in detail. What will your net worth be? When will you buy back your time? Then choose one unshakable rule about money and post it where you'll see it morning and night. Philosophy is the seed of wealth. Plant it carefully. The second step is simple, but it's one most people avoid because it feels uncomfortable. You must measure where you are. You can't improve what you refuse to measure. Think about it. If you were going on a journey and didn't know your starting point, no map in the world could help you arrive at the right destination. The same is true with wealth. Many people dream of financial freedom but have no clear picture of their current financial reality. They're like pilots flying with no instruments, hoping they'll land safely. Hope is not a strategy. Clarity is. When I first sat down to write out my finances, I'll be honest, it was painful. I discovered that my debts were bigger than I wanted to admit. My expenses were eating me alive, and my so-called savings were a joke. But facing that truth became the first act of power. It's like stepping on the scale before starting a fitness plan. You may not like the number, but you need it to track progress. So here's what I recommend. Make a list of everything you own and everything you owe. Write down your income and your expenses. Calculate your net worth, whether it's positive or negative. Then, for the next 30 days, track every single dollar, where it comes from and where it goes. Don't judge yourself, just measure. At the end of the month, put it all on a single sheet of paper, a dashboard that tells you the truth at a glance. Then review it every week. You'll notice something powerful happen. When you begin to measure, you begin to improve. What you track, you tend to control. And what you control, you can grow. Wealth begins not with more money, but with more awareness. Now, once you've measured where you are, the next step is to design a simple cash blueprint. And the key word here is simple. Complexity kills execution. If it's too complicated, you won't do it. That's why so many people abandon budgets. They try to create something so intricate that it collapses under its own weight. Wealth doesn't require complexity. It requires clarity and discipline. Here's the blueprint I recommend. Start with a simple 70 divided by 10, divided by 10, divided by 10 system. 70% of what you earn goes to living your rent, food, transportation, the basics. 10% goes to investing. This is the seed of your financial future. Another 10% goes to learning, books, courses, mentors, anything that upgrades your mind and skills. And the final 10% goes to giving, because generosity keeps greed in check and it creates goodwill that money alone could never buy. Now, if you're in a tight spot, don't worry. Start with 80 divided by 10 divided by 5 divided by 5. 80% for living, 10% for investing, 5 for learning, and 5 for giving. Then, over the next 90 days, discipline yourself to move closer to the 70, divided by 10, divided by 10, divided by 10 model. The numbers matter less than the habit of allocation. The act of telling your money where to go, instead of wondering where it went, that's the beginning of mastery. And don't forget to pre-plan the big bills. Too many people get surprised by expenses they knew were coming. Holidays, car insurance, school fees. These aren't emergencies, they're events. Set up sinking funds for them so they don't destroy your blueprint when they arrive. When you live by a simple, consistent cash plan, you take control. And when you take control, wealth has a foundation to stand on. Complexity belongs in the marketplace, not in your personal finances. Keep your blueprint simple, and you'll keep it sustainable. Now, once the blueprint is in place, you've got to make sure it actually works for you without depending on willpower. And that's where the principle comes in. Pay yourself first and automate it. Because here's what I've learned. Automation beats intention. Everyone intends to save. Everyone intends to invest. But the marketplace doesn't reward intentions. It rewards actions. And the easiest way to guarantee action is to take your hands out of the process. Here's how it works. On payday, before you buy a single thing, before you pay a single bill, the first transfer that happens is to you. Not to the landlord, not to the electric company, not to the grocery store, you. And when I say you, I don't mean your pocket to spend, I mean your future. 15 to 20% should go directly into investments. This is the seed that will eventually buy you freedom. 5 to 10% should go into learning, because the marketplace pays for value, and your value grows when your knowledge grows. And if you've chosen a giving percentage, automate that as well, because generosity is most powerful when it's consistent. And here's the strategy for growth. Raise your invest rate by 1% each quarter. Just 1%. That's small enough you won't miss it, but big enough that in just a few years, your wealth building rate has doubled without feeling painful. That's the magic of gradual increase. The key is automation. If you depend on discipline every month, eventually something will slip and you'll talk yourself out of saving because this month is different. But when you automate, the decision is made once and never again. You've locked in the behavior, you've made wealth building the default. And when wealth becomes automatic, freedom stops being a wish and starts becoming inevitable. If you want to build wealth, you can't only think about offense, scoring points, making deals, investing money. Offense may win games, but defense wins seasons. That's why you need an emergency reserve. Because here's what life will do. It'll test you. The car breaks down, the roof leaks, the job gets shaky, or the economy slows down. And when that happens, the question is, are you ready or are you vulnerable? If you're not ready, life will force you to use credit cards, loans, or worse, desperation. And desperation makes very poor financial decisions. So here's the plan. First, save $1,000 as fast as you can. Sell something, work an extra shift, cut back expenses, whatever it takes. That first $1,000 isn't wealth, but it's your first wall of defense. It keeps the little emergencies, flat tires, broken appliances, small medical bills from becoming big financial disasters. Once that's in place, move to the real reserve. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Notice I said essential. Not vacations, not luxuries, rent, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, the basics of survival. That's what keeps you calm when the storm comes. And here's an important note. Never invest your emergency fund. Don't put it in stocks. Don't chase returns. This money has only one job: safety. Park it in a high-yield savings account or a money market account. Something safe, accessible, and reliable. Because when the emergency comes, you don't want to be checking market charts or waiting 3 business days to get your money out. You want it now. Think of it this way. An emergency reserve isn't money sitting idle, it's peace sitting ready. It's confidence in your back pocket. And when you have that, you can play offense more boldly, knowing your defense is covered. Debt has a way of stealing not just your money, but your future. Every dollar you pay in interest is a dollar that could have been working for you, compounding, building freedom. Instead, it's working for someone else, making them wealthy while you stay trapped. That's why eliminating expensive debt isn't just a financial step, it's a declaration of independence. You can't build wealth carrying chains. And make no mistake, debt is a chain dressed up in convenience and easy payments. Here's the strategy. Start by making a complete list of every debt you owe: credit cards, personal loans, store accounts. Put them in order by the interest rate, from highest to lowest. That interest rate is the silent thief in your financial house. While you make minimum payments across all debts, attack the one with the highest rate first. Pour every extra dollar into it until it's gone. Then roll that freed up payment into the next one. That's called the avalanche method. It's not flashy, but it's powerful because it kills the most expensive debt the fastest. And while you're doing this, close the back door. Cut up the credit cards if you must. Freeze the leaks. Don't celebrate progress by going deeper into the hole. Instead, plan small, purposeful rewards for every milestone. Pay off a card. Treat yourself to a nice dinner, not a new loan. That way, your brain learns that discipline brings joy. Because here's the truth. Interest you pay is the enemy of interest you earn. The wealthy let money compound for them, the poor let it compound against them. When you break free from expensive debt once and for all, you shift sides. And that shift is the beginning of lasting financial freedom. Ignorance is the most expensive thing you can carry. What you don't know about money is already costing you, whether in taxes, poor decisions, or missed opportunities. That's why learning the language of money is not optional, it's mandatory if you want to build wealth. Just as you wouldn't try to live in a foreign country without learning the language, you shouldn't try to live in the financial world without fluency. Money speaks its own dialect of cash flow, assets, liabilities, equity, leverage, taxes, compounding. The more fluent you become, the more confident and capable your decisions will be. Here's how you do it. Every day, dedicate at least 60 minutes to financial learning. Rotate your topics: personal finance one day, investing the next, tax basics another, negotiation the next. You're building a full toolkit, not just a single skill. As you study, don't just consume, summarize each lesson in your own words. The act of writing it down is what locks it into your thinking. And then this is critical, apply one action immediately. Reading about negotiation, Try it on your next purchase. Learning about index funds? Open a small account and invest $50. Knowledge without application is wasted. And you must invest in this, learning the way you invest in assets. Set aside 5-10% of your income for courses, books, seminars, coaching. Don't view it as an expense. It's the best investment you'll ever make, because the return on self-education multiplies across your lifetime. The money I invested in books and mentors decades ago still pays me dividends today. The truth is, you can't afford ignorance. Every dollar lost to poor choices or missed opportunities is a tax on not knowing. But once you learn the language of money, you stop paying that tax and you start collecting instead. Money doesn't chase people, it chases value. If you want more income, you have to become more valuable. And the beautiful thing about value is that it's not fixed. It can be built, grown, multiplied. That's why one of the smartest things you can do is commit yourself to developing a high-value skill in just 90 days. 90 days may not sound like much, but with focused effort, it's enough to change the trajectory of your earning power. The first step is to choose a skill that the marketplace rewards. Look around skills like data analytics, copywriting, sales, digital marketing, coding, or public speaking. Pick one that fits both your interest and the demand. Then, make a commitment 60 minutes a day of study and practice. No exceptions. That hour compounds quickly. In 3 months, you'll have 90 concentrated hours invested, and that's enough to go from beginner to capable. But here's the secret. You can't just study. You must practice. Every week, produce something. If you're learning copywriting, write ads and sales pages. If you're studying analytics, build dashboards or run data models. Share your work. Ask for feedback. Improvement doesn't come from theory, it comes from iteration. By day 60, look for a way to monetize. Even if it's small, offer your service for a modest fee. Test it in the marketplace. Prove that the skill has value. That first $50, that first client, will do more for your confidence than 10 books. By day 90, you'll not only have a skill, but a marketable one, something that makes you harder to replace and easier to reward. The marketplace pays for value, and when you increase yours, your income must rise to match. 90 days of discipline can create a lifetime of opportunity. Wealth isn't just about cutting expenses. It's about deliberately raising your income. Too many people wait for a boss, a market, or luck to decide their paycheck. But let me tell you, income doesn't rise by accident. It rises on purpose. The truth is, a small raise today, compounded over years, becomes the seed capital for freedom tomorrow. But you have to decide that growing your income is not optional, it's part of your plan. Start by documenting your wins. Keep a record of what you've achieved, the problems you've solved, the clients you've served, the revenue you've generated, the systems you've improved. Most people work hard but never keep score. And when the time comes to ask for a raise or pitch for new clients, they have nothing to show. Make a victory file that builds your case every week. Then, when you approach your boss, you don't just ask for more money, you present value. You can say, here are the results I've delivered. Here's the growth I've driven. Let's talk about aligning my compensation with my contribution. That's not begging, that's business. If you're independent, build what I call an offer ladder. Maybe you start with a basic service, but then you create a premium version, a consulting tier, or a group offer. The goal is simple. Don't stay stuck at one level of value. Expand your reach and your pricing. And here's the most important step. Every new dollar must follow your philosophy. If you've set the rule to invest 20% of every dollar, tie that raise, that bonus, that client check directly to it. Otherwise, lifestyle will eat your growth. Income is not meant to drift, it's meant to climb. Raise it on purpose, and let every new dollar fuel your freedom, not your spending. Depending on a single stream of income is like building your house on one pillar. Sooner or later, the weight of life can bring it down. One stream is fragile, but two streams begin to create stability, and three streams open the door to freedom. If the only source of money in your life is your paycheck, then every decision your boss makes, every shift in the economy, every change in your industry directly threatens your security. That is not a plan, that's a risk. Wealthy people never gamble their future on one source. They deliberately build multiple streams so that no single event can break them. The key is not to chase 100 opportunities, but to choose one additional lane and master it. It could be a freelance service that uses a skill you already have, writing, design, consulting, or marketing. It could be a digital product, like an online course or ebook, that can be created once and sold over and over. Maybe it's dividend-paying stocks that quietly send you checks while you sleep, or even a simple rental property that generates steady monthly cash flow. The point is to choose one lane that fits your abilities and resources and commit to it. Once you've picked your lane, define your buy box or your offer niche. A buy box is simply your personal rules. If you're buying investments, it's the exact kind you'll buy. Under what price? In what conditions? If it's a business, it's who you serve, what you offer, and what problem you solve. This clarity keeps you focused and stops you from drifting into distractions. And then, act. Don't overthink. Don't wait for perfection. Launch a minimum viable offer within 30 days. Get your first client, list your first product, buy your first stock. Momentum matters more than mastery at the start. The wealthy know that every extra stream of income is another brick of freedom, another layer of security, and another step toward independence. One stream is a risk, but two streams begin your safety net. Investing isn't supposed to be exciting. In fact, if it feels like drama, you're probably doing it wrong. Wealth is rarely built by chasing headlines, predicting the next crash, or gambling on the hottest stock tip. It's built by quietly, consistently putting money to work month after month, year after year, letting compounding perform its magic. Money grows not because you time the market, but because you spend time in the market. The principle is simple. Choose your long-term vehicle and feed it faithfully. For most people, broad index funds are a great foundation. They represent entire markets, not single companies, which means you're not betting on one horse, you're betting on the whole race. Every month, without fail, you contribute. That strategy is called dollar cost averaging. It means you buy when prices are high, you buy when prices are low, and over time you smooth out the cost and steadily accumulate wealth. The second part is reinvesting dividends. That little check company sends you for owning their stock, don't spend it, put it back to work. Reinvested dividends are like planting seeds from the fruit of your tree. Every time you do it, your forest gets thicker, your roots grow deeper, and your wealth multiplies faster. And here's the hardest part, ignore the noise. Markets will rise, they will fall, they will shock, and they will scare. But the plan is not to react. The plan is to stay steady. I've seen too many people panic during downturns, sell at the bottom, and then watch the market recover without them. That's not investing, that's emotional gambling. True investors know that consistency beats intensity. So set your plan, automate it if you can, and take your eyes off the drama. Month by month, year by year, steady investing creates a fortune that no headline can shake. Freedom comes faster the moment your assets start paying your bills. That's when life begins to shift from you working for money to money working for you. The beauty of acquiring a cash-flowing asset is that it doesn't just add to your net worth, it adds to your monthly freedom. It's one thing to have savings growing in the background, but it's another thing entirely to wake up and realize that some of your expenses are already being covered by income streams that don't require you to punch a clock. That's the point where momentum kicks in. The first step is to write your own criteria. What kind of return do you want? How much risk can you handle? How much effort do you want to put in? This isn't about following someone else's model, it's about aligning assets with your lifestyle and capacity. Once you've got your criteria, start small. Don't wait for the perfect million-dollar idea. Pick something simple, manageable, and proven. Maybe it's a basket of dividend-paying stocks that drip cash into your account quarterly. Maybe it's a vending machine you place in the right location. Maybe it's a small rental property or even a micro SaaS product that generates steady subscriptions. The key is not to swing for the fences on your first attempt. The key is to get in the game. Every cash-flowing dollar teaches you more about leverage, about systems, about risk and reward than 100 books ever could. And once you start, track everything. Measure cash on cash returns. Watch your effort to reward ratio. Double down on what works and quietly phase out what doesn't. Over time, one vending machine becomes 3. One rental becomes a portfolio. One digital product becomes a full suite. Before long, you're not just making a living, you're building a system that makes a living for you. And that is the beginning of freedom. The real breakthrough in wealth and freedom comes when you learn to multiply yourself through systems. You can only work so many hours in a day, but a system can work around the clock. A system doesn't get tired, it doesn't take holidays, and it doesn't need motivation. It just runs if you've built it right. That's why systems are the secret to scaling. Without them, you're trapped in the cycle of trading time for money. With them, your effort compounds beyond what you alone could ever produce. The first step is simple. Start documenting. Every repeated task, whether it's sending invoices, onboarding a client, restocking a machine, or publishing content, should be written down as a standard operating procedure. Don't keep it in your head. Build a playbook. That way, when the time comes to hand it off, you're not explaining from scratch. You're handing over a proven process. Next, embrace tools and automation. Today, technology can send reminders, run your marketing, track your expenses, and even manage customer interactions while you sleep. Every hour that a system saves you is an hour you can redirect toward higher value activities. But even with the best tools, some tasks still require a human touch, and that's where delegation comes in. Pay others to do the $10 work, so you can focus on the $1,000 work. Finally, protect your best hours. Every one of us has a time in the day when we're sharpest. Guard that time for high-leverage work, the planning, the strategy, the creation that drives your business forward. Don't trade it for emails or errands. When you systemize, automate, and delegate, you create space. And in that space, you finally step into the role you were meant to play, not the worker, but the architect. That shift is what builds empires. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that hope alone doesn't change your life, structure does. A dream without a plan is just a wish, and too many people spend their lives wishing. Wealth, freedom, success, they're not accidents, they're built by discipline and guided by a calendar. That's why a 12-month play isn't just an exercise, it's the difference between drifting and designing your life. In the first month, the focus is on clarity and foundation. You measure where you stand, you create a simple budget, you automate your savings, and you get your first $1,000 emergency cushion in place. It's not much, but it's the spark of confidence that says, I'm no longer unprotected. By month 2, you start cutting the chains of expensive debt, tackling the highest interest first, while building the habit of a daily money hour, 60 minutes to learn, reflect, and act. By the 3rd month, you've chosen a skill, sprint, something marketable, something that increases your value. 90 days of practice, output, and feedback, and by the end you're already monetizing it. That's when month 4 arrives and you step into building your second stream of income. Maybe it's freelance work, maybe a digital product, maybe investment starting to flow. But the point is, one stream is no longer your only stream. The middle months are about strengthening the structure. By month 5, your emergency fund grows, and you deliberately ask for a raise or secure new clients. In month 6, you get serious about taxes, beneficiaries, and systems. Month 7, you step into ownership with your first cash-flowing asset, however small it may be. Month 8, you deliberately raise your investment rate and hold your lifestyle steady. No creep, no leak. By month 9, you expand outward, you start a network project, you mentor someone, because wealth is also built in relationships and contribution. By month 10, your emergency fund is now 3 to 6 months strong, and your insurance is optimized to protect the downside. Month 11 is about rebalancing your portfolio, your focus, and scaling the stream that's working best. And by month 12, you pause, you review, you measure everything you've built, and you set bigger targets for the next year. What does this add up to? In 12 months, you've built habits, assets, and resilience. You've created multiple streams of income. You've disciplined your lifestyle. You've turned ignorance into knowledge and knowledge into action. Most importantly, you've proven to yourself that transformation is not a mystery. It's a result of simple disciplines practiced daily. The invitation is this: don't let another year drift by. A year will pass whether you plan it or not. The question is, will it be a year of progress or a year of repetition? Start today, run the play, and let the compounding of money, skill, and character do the heavy lifting. Because the calendar won't wait, and neither should you.